Let's take a look here at number 24. Harrison walks to the library after school every day. When Harrison leaves school, he walks 16 blocks due west and then 12 blocks due north to get to the library. What is the magnitude and direction of the resultant vector? So we are working with vectors. With vectors, there's two ways of solving vectors. You need one, a graph that's tip to tail, and two, you need to use tic-tac-toe. And then from there, we'll use the calculator to actually calculate all the numbers. So first thing I want you to draw is a little sketch. First vector, which direction does it go? Due west, which is what direction? To the left. So we're going to go left, 16. And then, secondly, now do I draw it from the origin? That would not be tip to tail. You need to go tip to tail. So from here, I go due north. That means perfectly north for 12, which would be a little bit shorter than 16. Probably didn't do it tall enough, but it needs to be shorter than 16. Something like that. Now, my drawing is still not fully complete. What am I missing on my drawing? A resultant. The resultant goes from the very start as an arrow pointing at the new final location, just like that. That's your resultant. So if you had to do a graph, that's what the graph would look like. Now, to find magnitude and direction, this is where I use tic-tac-toe to help me with my calculations. Start with a 4x3. And this will remain a 4x3 because we only have a total of 3 vectors. The original 2 plus the resultant. So that's why it's a 4x3 because I only have 3 vectors. So 4x3. I'll label the top X, Y, H, which represents magnitude, and theta for direction. Vector 1, vector 2, and the resultant. Now let's talk about this first vector. Does this first blue vector look like an X, a Y, or a diagonal H? X, so it goes in the X column. Now if I leave it though as a 16, it's wrong. Y negative. It's going to the left. So I'm going to just change it over here as well. Because it's flat, you put the Y of 0. Very good. Now we could go to the calculator, but this is going to be pretty simple, so I'm not going to do this part in the calculator. You could do this in brackets. And remember, vectors are always going to add on the T-chart. Vectors add. This second one, what does this look like? An X, a Y, or a diagonal H? Y. So I put the 12 here. Now, do I leave it as a positive 12 or do I make it a negative? Positive. Why positive? It's going up. Now, what do I put for the X since it's flat? Again, you could go to the calculator and add these up. But this math is going to be quite simple, so let's just do it by hand. What's negative 16 plus 0? Negative 16. And then what's 0 plus 12? 12. Now this, I'm going to type in the calculator. Because I'm going to convert to polar. This over here, we can use the calculator if we convert it to polar. Now there's one thing I'm going to make on this. I'm going to make an exception. I'm going to change modes. Because I'm looking at the answers, we need the magnitude and direction. And what mode is their direction in? Degrees. So I'm going to make an exception here. Let's just change the degrees because I don't know how to make it convert otherwise. So I type in the vector. How do you get to convert to polar? Menu. Which one says vectors? 7. Okay, and I'm looking for vectors again. I don't see it until you go over here. It is number C. Letter C. And then 4, convert to polar. When you press enter, if you're in degrees, it should give you the angle from standard position. Polar works like a circle, standard position. Are you getting the same number as me? I'm getting a magnitude of 20 and an angle of 143.1 degrees. Okay, so going to our answers. We've certainly found one answer. Which answer is certainly correct? A, which means B is out. Now, as I'm looking at the angles, none of them say 143.1. This, just as a reminder, if it's from a circle, means it comes from The positive x-axis. That's 143.1 degrees. The answer choices, though, are starting from where? The north. Remember, vectors can start from anywhere. That's correct, because 90 is how many degrees to 90? I'm sorry. I just gave you the answer. How many degrees is it to the north? 90. So that's like 90 right there. And since we're still continuing to add to get to the west, it's 90 minus 140. 143 minus the 90. You take away these 90 degrees. So what is 143.1 minus 90? It'd be 53.1. If you subtract, that's how you would get answer choice E.